My name is Josh Halpern, and I play the cello. And I'm going to be answering a few questions. What first led me to be a musician? There was always music in my house growing up. It was not, a strict diet of classical music, but when I was young, I loved Disney movies and the Lion King and other movies like that. And I had a phase where I was obsessed with Gene Kelly and Fred Astaire. And there was just always music around. And then I was in public school, and in the 4th grade, I decided I want to start playing guitar, but then at the same time at school, I'm going to answer this question again. What first led me to be a musician?
Clap, clap, clap.
So there was always music in my house growing up, whether it was Disney movies or I had a phase where I was obsessed with Gene Kelly and Fred Astaire and those sorts of old movies and things like that. And then when I was in 4th grade, I started playing guitar, and that was outside of school, but in the public school where I was going, they also had orchestra and band start for everyone in 4th grade. And there was a little bit of an instrument petting zoo where some guy came in and played the trombone and did the sliding around, and then there was somebody who played the violin, and I didn't want to play any instrument that had a part called a spit valve. So I chose to go into orchestra, and I thought that maybe my prior skills that I had acquired on the guitar would serve me well. But I thought my hands would be too big for the violin, so I chose the cello. So I was a little bit of a late starter, and it was a public school situation, so there was a wide spectrum of levels of commitment. And then over time, I auditioned for the youth orchestra in town, and then I started going to a bigger city nearby for their youth orchestra because it was a little bit better, and summer festivals and things like that. So it just kind of snowballed very slowly. And then by the time I was in high school, I was pretty sure I wanted to do this in college and study it more seriously. So that's my answer to that question. I wish I had a daily ritual that I followed. I wish that I got up every morning and meditated for 30 minutes, or I don't know, had a green juice or something. I think of my life as I can be really neurotic, and I will hold myself to certain daily things, but practicing is one of those things, obviously. But even these days, everything is kind of shifting on a daily basis, and I feel like I have the best days when I attack something, and it might be something related to music. I also kind of fancy myself a writer, so maybe I'm sitting down to write, or maybe someone else has come to me and interrupted my work schedule and said, hey, let's go out today, and maybe we go on a hike or something like that. I've spent a lot of time in Colorado over the quarantine, which has been really lovely because it's easy to get out into nature. And any time that the day sort of, the daily schedule sort of dissolves and is replaced by commitment to something exciting that I'm working on. Under ordinary circumstances, I feel like, what are ordinary circumstances anymore? But the day always starts with coffee, that's for sure. I'm obsessed with coffee. And then I feel like I leave the house, and when I come back, I'm pretty exhausted, but these days you're not leaving the house. So I try to exhaust myself as much as I can in my house with whatever might be going on. But every day that's different. So I wish that I had something to say, but it's a little bit like, when I go to the dentist and they say, have you been flossing and doing everything right? And I say, yeah. In terms of pre-concert rituals, I like to get there early, but not too early because you can kind of drive yourself a little bit crazy. I always prefer it when I'm going on stage with other people as opposed to just by myself, because you spend time on your own, warming up, and I have a series of little exercises that I do before I get into anything else on the cello. And it just sort of, they're like calisthenics. They just sort of slowly warm you up. And then it's nice having other people backstage because you can kind of forget that it's, that you're about to go and perform for a lot of people and that supposedly it's a lot of pressure. You can sort of remember that it's also supposed to be fun. So yeah, and if you can take a walk beforehand, get outside, maybe get a coffee with a friend. Again, the coffee motive comes back. I feel like if I get too rigid, then I get stiff. And so if there's a little bit of something to throw off whatever cycle is going on in my head, then we're really golden. So yeah, not too fastidious about any particular ritual. All right, so we're going inside my cello case, but since violinists always carry more personal stuff because they've got more pockets, I brought my backpack as well. Makes it a little more interesting. So let's see what's in here. I've always got at least one more book than I will ever actually read wherever I'm going. So right now I have two. Got the Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead and a beautiful little book of short stories by Wendell Berry, Wild Birds. Going along with that, a pair of headphones to cancel out all the subway noise if you're on the train or something. Those two things go hand in hand. Always listening to white noise. Pedal, and you pray always bring more batteries for your pedal, because just always do it. I got a little notebook in case something occurs to me or I gotta make a list of things because I'm forgetful. These days, masks, hand sanitizer. I would say probably the weirdest thing that I have in my bag. Well, this I cannot recommend highly enough. These are Baggu bags, and they fit in this little bag, and I use it all the time. Somebody gave it to me as a gift, and I thought it was kind of a lame gift, and then it turned out that I used it basically every day. The weirdest thing that I have in my bag, I've got lots of pens and pencils and stuff, but I actually have two pocket constitutions. And this was given to me by my high school social studies teacher, and he gave one to every member of the class because it was an American government class. And he said, just always carry it with you because you never know. And there was one time in the last year that I really wanted it with me, but I didn't have my backpack. And so I wasn't able to look up what the Fourth Amendment was. But I feel like it can't hurt. This one's from the ACLU. I got it at a Broadway show called What the Constitution Means to Me, which is a one-woman show by Heidi Schreck. And she talks about her own experience with the Constitution and learning how it is, doesn't quite affect men and women the same way. It's an amazing show. And then we got the cello case. Been carting around this big Alan Stevenson case, which is a little cumbersome, but it's like a really, really awesome case. So here we go. This is the only pocket in the whole thing, and I don't have much in here. I have some extra strings in case you lose one in a concert. I got a rock stop, which holds our end pin and makes sure that we don't scratch the floors. I've got some Kolstein cello rosin in this nice little fancy gold box. And then I have these Westone earplugs if you're ever on a stage or anywhere where it's really loud, and they're kind of molded to your ear. I got those after I found out that I had a little inner ear problem on my left ear. So, and then I always also carry this, which is on my bridge, because I was practicing with it. It's just a practice mute. And if you're in a hotel or in someone else's house, it just makes it quieter. as you probably guessed. I got 2 bows. The bow I play on most of the time is a Doug Ragus bow, and he used to work in Chicago, and now he lives, I think, in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Nice guy, great all-around bow, not very expensive, does its job. And then the main attraction, my cello. First of all, if you're a string player, get yourself one of these. It's a nanofiber cloth, not microfiber, nanofiber. We've got one step better than microfiber. It's got a real strange texture, but you can basically get water on this and clean a window until it's spotless, and then it works really great on varnish. So I probably wipe down my cello with this thing once or twice a day. And then my cello, which I bought in, luckily it's mine, and I got it in 2014 in Albuquerque from Robertson's and Sons violin shop. And it's a little bit of a mutt. They think that the back and the sides and the scroll, all the original parts of the cello were made by Gennaro, I think. It says Johannes on the label inside, but I think his Italian name was Gennaro Galliano. So the Galliano family was one of the famous Italian Neapolitan, not Cremonese, makers, and this guy was one of the last members of that family. And so they think maybe that the original part was made by him, but then the top was replaced 100 years later by this guy named Dezorzi. And as I understand it, Dezorzi started going a little nuts at the end of his life, and he started doing sort of eccentric things with the instruments that he was building. And this one looks normal, but it's got an inscription on the underside of the top that explains where you got the wood. And I have a photo of it that they snaked this camera inside, took a picture of it. It's in Italian, but the translation says roughly that he got it from the church or the abbey in his town, and it came from the roof of over where the crypts were. So all the bodies were buried there. A little spooky. And he says, after centuries of watching over the dead, it now inspires the living. So that's a fun story that I tell constantly, and people love it. So now it's going out to everybody. I'm losing my main little cocktail party story. Yeah, but that's the whole thing. I got a little mute here. I've got a wolf illuminator that, not important really to explain what that does. And that's everything.